Well, hello everyone. It's wonderful to once again be able to spend this time together. And let me just say that presentation on softness was so wonderful and so moving and so touching. Um, and a lot of what Bill said, in a way, is going to encompass this talk, the River of the Tao, Day 29, in Irish Blessing, um, because it's about how to approach life. That's really part of what this talk is really about. Now, the subtitle in Irish Blessing may seem a little odd, but I promise I will do my best to explain that, but not until the very end. So I'm going to tease it a little to draw in your interest, I guess. So the River of the Tao. So in this chapter, Derek beautifully explains how the Tao is often compared to the movement of a river, how it has a natural direction and flow, and that in living a life in line with the Tao, one of the keys to that is to swim with its flow, swim downstream in that river. And the points that Derek makes, of course, is that river is always moving in a direction toward harmony, peace, and love. And of course, that's what we should do, because swimming up against the stream is frankly difficult. You have to expend a lot of effort, and you don't get very far. Whereas when you can do it in a way where you're going with the flow of the stream, it's much easier to take advantage of the situations and to go with the flow naturally and achieve a lot with seemingly little effort. And when we achieve a lot of things easily and simply, it feels so good. And that feeling you have, you can build on that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it here. So swimming with the stream. I mean, that really is our goal for how to approach life, to swim with the stream, to do it in an effortless and easy way. And of course, that's very different than going against the stream, which is hard and difficult. And, the signs of all of that is a lot what Bill talked about. When you engage in debate and argument, and you meet force with force, all of those examples he gave, those sort of anti-soft examples, were examples of swimming against the stream. An approach that, frankly, is hard. It's kind of like banging your head against the wall. It doesn't get you anywhere. So, two things to keep in mind about going with the flow down the stream in this river of Tao that we all live in and are part of. And the first thing is that the idea that going with the flow does not mean being carefree to the point where you do nothing. That's an important thing to keep in mind, because that's not what it is. Latching on to that idea is actually worse even than swimming against this current of the great Tao, to me. It's the equivalent to completely stepping off the easy, effortless path, which will not, which will take us away from activities that yield healthy and balanced productivity. Doing nothing is worse than trying to do things, even if you're trying in a wrong way, because at least by doing something, sooner or later you're going to learn that you have to make a change. And in a sense, not doing anything is accomplishing something. It's accomplishing nothing. It's accomplishing bad results. So it's important to keep in mind that going with the flow doesn't mean being totally carefree. And going with the flow does not mean we can do whatever we feel like doing whenever we feel like doing it. If we do that, we will not have a happy, balanced, productive existence. And we will be completely disregarding the importance of caring for and respecting others. So what do I mean by that second point? Well, the reality of it is life is full of things to do. I mean, we're here for a reason. And, some of us may not have figured out our reason yet. That's okay. Just keep going with the flow, keep cultivating. It'll come to you. But the interesting thing about it is that in this idea of, to unpack it as an example, today it will be an easy day for me, frankly, because it's a weekend and I'm with the people I love most, my wife, my children. We have things to do today and we have a lot to accomplish, and it's going to be fun because we'll go with the flow, we'll enjoy each other's company, and all of that will happen in an embrace of love and happiness. But as a result of all of that wonderfulness, I can almost guarantee that tomorrow I'll be tired when I wake up in the morning. And if I were to approach that as, well, I feel tired, therefore I should do nothing because that's what I feel like doing today. I feel like doing nothing. Well, first of all, not only will I not accomplish anything tomorrow, but in a way I'll be totally disrespecting those who rely on me. The people at work who expect me to be there to do the things that I do. The fact that going to work and providing is part of my role as a father and a husband. I mean, doing nothing translates into not respecting or caring for others. And it'll be the same for Wendy. She'll be tired too. But she can't just stay in bed all day because she feels like it. She knows she'll have to get up and get the kids ready. They're young, so they need guidance. They need a gentle hand to help them do the things they have to do. And so we all have things to accomplish. So going with the flow doesn't mean not doing anything, but rather it means doing things, doing the right things at the right time in the right way. And as Bill said, with as soft a touch as we can muster. So ultimately, going with the flow is about effortless action, not doing anything. It's not about not doing anything. It's about doing things effortlessly. And the reason why I chose an airplane as my picture to illustrate that is if you've ever had the experience of flying somewhere and then coming back. For me, it's often on trips to New York. When you fly from Los Angeles to New York, often it takes longer than it does when you fly back from New York to Los Angeles, and that's because, and the pilots will tell you this too, because of the tailwind. If they can get a good tailwind behind them, they can shave off. I think it's almost an hour, depending on how well they're able to take advantage of the tailwind that may or may not be present. And so, in a sense, it's a good analogy for what it means to follow the teachings, what it means to take unattached action. And that's something we can all do by increasing our awareness and knowing, sometimes it's just a subtle change in thinking that can affect everything, that can get you back in to the right flow towards positive results. So going with the flow, see if we could unpack what all that means a little bit. So the arc of our lives should always have a definite direction, just like the great Tao has a definite direction. It encompasses everything, of course, but it definitely moves. It's moving, it's active. And the great Tao moves in a direction towards harmony, peace, and love, as Derek points out so well in this chapter. And we all have the choice to go with the flow, the way the Tao does. And one of the wonderful things about Taoism is it is about transformation. Sorry, I got thrown up with the transportation example with the airplane. It's about self-transformation. It is about going with the flow in the sense that taking advantage of what opportunity life has in front of you, to actively step in to the spot that will carry you easily to where you want to go. The truth is, when you live this way, with this approach, there's a wonderful joy and fun in the actual living. And it gets to the point where you just expect it. You visualize it, you expect it, you know it, and it just comes to being. I mean, I know today is going to be a great day. I've known since I got up, and so far, everything is right on schedule. And that's a wonderful thing. And I'll be honest, it's harder to do during the other days of the week because more of my time is spent with people that don't necessarily love as well as I love the people that I will be around today. But that's not a problem with them. That's a problem with me. You know, it's how can I love people better? How can I show love? How can I be the kind of person who makes people feel comfortable? Who makes people feel that they can trust me? Well, all of that is in the Tao teachings. It tells us what to do. Non-contention, not arguing, not debating, not being sharp and judgmental, but being soft and yielding. All of those things are in the Tao teachings. And when we do those things, we're going with the flow of the Tao. And when we do that, we'll create harmony. We'll have peace and calmness from inside out. And all of it will yield more of something, and that something is love, really. Love for life, love for others, love for chocolate. I mean, the Tao encompasses everything. And while excess is bad, a little bit of chocolate now and then for me is not necessarily a bad thing. And I've learned that. Aligning ourselves with the great Tao allows us to tap into its effortless flow that allows us to accomplish our destinies in a way that is both fun and enjoyable. Going with the flow of the Tao makes life truly worth living. You know, it may seem unbelievable to many people, frankly, that life can be fun and enjoyable all the time. And, you know, as someone who's experienced a fair amount of tragedy, I can understand how that may not seem like an unreasonable position to be skeptical of things being fun and enjoyable all the time. But I tell you, the fact that we have the power to change the way we think about things, to notice the right things, that's a power that human beings have. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful gift, this existence we have before us. Just the fact that we get to ride in this beautiful river is such a privilege. So I'm going to start to sum it up here, if I can. There are different approaches for how we live. We can swim downstream in an easy, effortless way. Or we can swim against the stream in a way that is unnecessarily difficult. We can choose to not swim at all, which accomplishes nothing. It is incorrect to think that this is going with the flow. Really, there is only one choice that makes sense here. Swimming against the stream is difficult and hard. And so it makes the activities of life unpleasant. And that ultimately results in our unhappiness. Sorry there. Hang on one second. Not swimming at all is the equivalent of ceding control of life to that which cannot be controlled. Instead of taking action to make a happy life, what ultimately happens is stagnation takes over and nothing is accomplished. And that's not the Tao. That's not what going with the flow is. That's essentially going with no flow. That's not going upstream or downstream. That's really going nowhere. Now, of course, the obvious approach of those three that I opened with, the best and most optimal approach is to choose to go with the flow of harmony, peace, and love as we do the things in life that we all have to do. We can choose to have harmony and peace in a life filled with expressions of love that are both given and received by us. The choice is always ours, and we can make a positive change at any moment, at any time, and in every moment. It doesn't require some major sweeping change, often a gentle, small, soft change in how we look at things. You know, that cliche, I'll call it, or this phrase of, I'm sure we've all heard it, but whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right? Essentially, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of deepness to that, really. You know, your focus often determines your reality. And you can change, we have the power to change what we focus on, to change what we notice. And there's lots of good in life to notice. And when you go with the flow and you're able to notice those things, it makes the journey so much easier. Okay, so now for the last part, the part that I teased in the beginning about why I put the subtitle for this presentation, I called it an Irish blessing. And that's largely because of a traditional old Irish blessing that I've heard many times in my life from just a couple of very important people to me. My grandfather, for one, my Irish grandfather, and of course my wonderful Irish mother, who in thinking of her this morning, I think of her often. Yeah, I just realized, how long has she been going now? And I think about it, and it's been, gosh, I think it's been something like 33 years that she's been gone. And yet a day doesn't go by that I don't think of her. And why? Well, because she loved me. Love endures. It's so powerful. Even though I haven't seen her in over 30 years, I see her in my mind's eye. Even though I haven't experienced any of the things she used to do that made me feel loved, the memory is there. And just remembering those things makes me feel loved. It's good to look for love, because I'm going to guess that most of the people in this meeting, I'd be willing to bet there's lots of love in your life. But going with the flow means taking the time to notice it, to notice what you're immersed in, and to go with it. And so here we go. Here's an old Irish blessing, slightly modified at the end. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may the Tao bring you harmony, peace, and love. So thank you all for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. As always, I want to end with a book recommendation, The Tao of Joy Every Day, a great book to use daily to help one study and learn the Tao teachings and put them into action. So thank you all very much. I hope I said something that was of use And I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday.